I used to feel things, now I refresh. I used to call back, now I regress. I used to have time, now I just chart it. I used to feel broke, now I just market it. Microwave meals and a flickering screen, 4 open tabs and none on me. I mistook obsession for finding a rhythm, but I forgot to trade being a person back in. There's a ghost in the glow of my 4 a.m. face, whispers you're close, then erases the trace. I built a coffin out of old trade logs, slept like a baby through all my calls. Told my friends I'm built for this, but I meant I'm broken and I'm monetizing it. One more chart, one more chance, one more win to fix what I can. I pulled the blinds, left the lights on. Had a dream, I replied, but it's been too long. My dentist quit, my plants gave up. The mirror just shrugs while I fill my cup. She said you don't laugh like you used to. I said neither does the S&P, it's mutual. I only date things I can predict, which is why I'm alone in this office. Cashed in my breath for another late bell. I say I'm close, but I'm lying as well. I built a home from unpaid tabs, lit it with FOMO and false demand. Told myself this is the climb, but I keep slipping somewhere behind. One more bounce, one more fake, one more thing I'll overstate. No more sleep, just second guesses. No more friends, just market stresses. No more how are you, just where's the fix? No more balance, just risk on risk. I made peace with the glow in my bones, learned to love being violently alone. I'll be fine, I say, and flinch while the candles burn and the losses. This is not a strategy, this is not a phase. This is me and drop down till the end of days.
Oh, brother, oh, brother, oh, brother. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Matt Core Show, where that intro just freaked out my cat, and she sprinted out of the room, so we're already here for a pretty freaking solid start. Happy Wednesday, what is it, the 27th, a.k.a. NVIDIA's earning report day, but that's not going to happen this morning. The numbers aren't out. It's going to happen after the market closes today. So could be some exciting stuff. Could very much be an exciting time today, because not only are we setting up with just the world's biggest stock, the biggest company reporting, which I believe right now accounts for 8% of the entire S&P 500. One individual company. Absolutely crazy. So that in itself is going to be obviously very, very impactful. But beyond that, from a technical setup, a price structure, price momentum, and an options chain, we are right on the edge of either something very good, as in we break out and we rip, or something very bad and we completely plummet. But technically, the good or bad isn't really good or bad, because it's if you are playing it the right way. So a couple other things going on in the background. We have a little bit of an update with the trade war as it relates to the US and the EU, and they're basically going to be negotiating this week. But the big narrative of the week is basically the war that Trump is currently in against the Fed, specifically Lisa Cook. And we covered it a little bit, but obviously they're saying it relates to mortgage fraud. We all know that it's just a power play that Trump very much wants to have complete and utter control of the Fed. You might think that's good, you might think that's bad, but by definition, this is removing Fed independence. Basically, he's working on getting out the people that he doesn't want to be in there. He's working the way, like, sometimes the Supreme Court justices are like stacked, like one way or the other. That's effectively right now what is going on with the Fed. Bad take, Matt. Well, you might think it's a bad take, but it's also the right take. See, if I were in a weird situation to agree with you, unfortunately, we would then both be wrong. So 100% what's going on. I know it's getting dressed up as like this like loan fraud, mortgage fraud type of bullshit, which like whatever, you shouldn't do that. but it's going to get to a situation where like President Trump is definitely turning up the pressure. So I would not be surprised if in one way or another he gets what he wants and Lisa Cook is out. And speaking of that, there's actually another story that what's his name? Stephen Miran. That's going to be the next guy that he's going to have to go through like the Senate panel and whatever, but he'll probably end up on the FOMC as a Fed governor very soon, actually. So there's going to be a giant shift, and it's coming at a very interesting time where obviously the equities market and really the crypto market is pretty much at all-time highs. We have kind of stubborn inflation that's refusing to come down. Like we have another 50% to go from 3% down to 2%. And like it's tough. Like obviously it was at 9. So we got it from 9 all the way down to 3. But remember that target is 2. And this is now all happening where there's some questions about the labor market. In terms of magnitude, the labor market is actually pretty strong, but the recent trends are showing a little bit of softening. So it's going to get a little complicated, and you're going to probably hear this word stagflation thrown out, a little bit more of inflation going up, but we have lower economic growth. That is a possibility. We're going to find out. Obviously, cutting rates isn't going to help with the inflation side of the equation, but maybe it's going to help enough with the labor market side of the equation. But in terms of where we are and where we're going, that's what the Fed obviously is attempting to do. It's like, it's one thing to have the employment numbers right now and the inflation numbers right now, but obviously they're going to be looking a couple months, a couple quarters down the road to see what the trends are. So that's going to be the major narrative, and we're going to get a huge update on that this Friday. So an hour before the market opens, we get the PCE report. The personal consumption expenditure comes out an hour before the market opens this Friday. So basically, for the remainder of the week, we have NVIDIA's earnings after the market closes today, the GDP numbers before the market opens tomorrow, Thursday, and then the inflation numbers before the market opens on Friday. So basically today, tomorrow, and really Friday, all going to be massive. Then that brings us into the extended holiday weekend where the market is closed on Monday in observation of Labor Day. And then next week is also going to be pretty exciting because at the end of next week, it's going to be the first Friday of a new month, which means we get the jobs numbers, we get the unemployment numbers. So pretty much starting today at market close all the way up until next Friday is going to be pivotal. The information that we are getting between now and next Friday is going to decide, is the recent high a temporary high and we're about to explode even higher and keep pushing, and maybe even in alignment with that September seasonality where it's bullish up until about halfway through the month? Or is the recent high going to be the all-time high and we're about to take a pretty serious pullback and then maybe find our footing closer to October or November? Obviously, if I had a crystal ball, if I were clairvoyant, if I could tell you guys the future, I would. But in reality, unless you're a part of the team at NVIDIA, if you're a part of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or if you're really a part of any of the government agencies that already know these numbers, for us, it's a binary event. I wish going in here, I could tell you the numbers of good or bad, but remember, it's not good or bad in a vacuum. It's good or bad relative to Wall Street's expectations. So sometimes the expectations are horrible, but it slightly beats it, so that's good. Sometimes the expectations are lofty and the numbers are amazing, but they're slightly under the expectations. Remember, it's not just good or bad. It's good or bad based on your measuring stick, and in the world of trading, the measuring stick is Wall Street's expectations. And a lot of the times, especially when it comes to individual companies, it has to do a lot now with future guidance rather than actual top and bottom line numbers. Of course, are important, but it seems like recently there's a huge emphasis on the guidance, obviously moving forward. So that's what's going to be happening with NVIDIA tonight. Remember, PCE Friday, GDP tomorrow, and then unemployment numbers next Friday. So we're at a very interesting time, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of how things relax over the past week or two-ish, because the next week of your life is most likely going to be very, very, very hectic. So I kind of want to prep you guys up for the larger picture. Then we're going to get into the specifics of today. We're going to get into some nerdy-ass stats, facts, and figures, so you're a little bit better prepared for today. Obviously, happy to do some of the chart breakdowns and options review and all that stuff. And then maybe we can make a little bit of money before NVIDIA reports after the market closes today. Bad take, Matt. The New York Matt is showing. Wrong. Fed independence is an illusion. I get it. Like sometimes people just wake up and you're a little stupid. I get it. No one's going to hold it against you, Wyoming. It's all right. We all have those days where our cognitive abilities are a little bit diminished. I don't know if you got out a little bit late last night, but it's all right. Like, I get it. We're here for you. We're going to help you out. We all sometimes feel like we're the stupidest person in the room, and today just happens to be you, but it's going to be okay. we're all a team. We're all together. No one's going to hate on you for that. Stock futures are little change ahead of NVIDIA's earnings. So yes, obviously, as I've already said 18 times today, at the market closes today, you're going to be hearing from NVIDIA. But just to call it out, some of you I know trade Snowflake, some of you trade CrowdStrike, and some of you trade HP. So you might want to pay attention to those. And also before the market opens tomorrow, Dollar General, Best Buy, Dell is also tomorrow, Ulta Beauty, Affirm. So there's a couple interesting ones to pay attention to. Alibaba's this Friday, but obviously just the major one that literally all of Wall Street is paying attention to is NVIDIA. So that's on the dock. It's on deck for today. Right now in pre-market trading, we had a beautiful pump into close yesterday, an absolutely amazing pump. And really it all started at kind of like 155, 145. You could even see it here in the options flow. At 154, someone just flow alert, and we just exploded in the S&P 500. Same thing in the Mag 7. You could see right when it was happening, like it's as if someone just hit a button on their computer and it just unleashed a crazy buy algorithm, and we just absolutely ripped. So the Mag 7 and the SPY, not only in price, but also in options flow, we just saw this pop all the way up. And right now, pre-market, post-market, pretty much just sideways. And honestly, I don't mind it. I know when we see times like this, like you kind of wake up in the morning, you're like, dude, I want this massive gap up. I want my calls to be printing. But remember, when we get those big gap ups, the odds of a downside gap fill are very, very high. So yes, I know it's exciting, especially if you plan to get out right at market open. But for people who plan to swing it a little bit longer, you don't always necessarily want that massive gap up just because the odds are against you for an immediate continuation. While in reality, if we open up right at the high, if we open up right at the close, we can make a base right there, right out of the gate, no gap fill to consider, and then we just rip off of it. So I'm right there with you. I know sometimes our little silly monkey brains, like we just get addicted to that dopamine of like the market open being amazing. But in terms of like the stats of the situation, opening up right between the close and the high or near the high, that actually could be really, really, really solid. So right now we're looking fine. Nothing too special. We're just kind of holding. Obviously, I'm watching Tesla, NVIDIA, Bitcoin, SPY, and Qs. But right now we do have some other news to get into. Traders position for NVIDIA's earnings to Royal Placid stock market. Did you know that this word isn't actually supposed to be pronounced placid, like Lake Placid or anything? It's actually like the true pronunciation is flaccid. And when you say that, it's one of those weird words that if you say it right, people think you're wrong. And in reality, I guess that's how language works, that if we all agree this one thing is right, then it inherently becomes right. But yeah, the actual pronunciation of this is not placid, it's flaccid. So, hey, you learn something every day. And if you're the asshole who says it right, everyone thinks you're wrong, which is kind of how a lot of grammar in the U.S. market, or in the U.S. market, in the U.S. goes of like, we just don't know grammar properly. But anyway, you learned something today. So even if you lose money, you can hang your head high on the fact that you now know how to say a word properly, but you probably shouldn't anyway, because if you say it properly, people are going to think you're mispronouncing it. So it's just something that you could always say to yourself in the back of your head and go, hey, all right, neat, cool. All right. So with respect to today, there's nothing really scheduled. We do have some bond auctions at 1 p.m. today that you might want to pay attention to. My energy traders, crude oil inventories at 10:30, but really nothing going on during the trading session today, that like no surprise announcements at like 10 a.m. or anything like that. Remember, GDP tomorrow morning with initial jobless claims, and then obviously the PCE, personal consumption expenditure, this Friday. All right, let's get into the narrative of things. The hottest news right now is Trump's fight against the Fed. Get ready for the end of Fed independence. Markets have yet grappled with the implications of the president having control over the central bank. That's true. Right now, we have a president putting a lot of pressure on the Fed. And really, the last time something like this happened, you have to go back a couple decades, and not as extreme, but Nixon tried to pull off some similar stuff. So maybe you think this is good, maybe you think this is bad, but this entire storyline of what's going on with Lisa Cook, as you really think President Trump gives a fuck about mortgage fraud, of loan fraud? He doesn't give two shits. This is obviously a way for him to stack the FOMC to ideally get rates to get cut. He's dressing it up as like, well, the government should be paying less on the government debt. I would say maybe, but maybe also the government shouldn't have such a massive deficit. And on top of that, it is a little bit sketchy when he himself, since he's become president for the second term, has about $104 million in local and even in corporate bonds, which are going to benefit from yields dropping. And let's just hope that it doesn't backfire him and prompt a little bit of stagflation. But anyway, these are his recent words from yesterday on the whole Lisa Cook situation.
When it comes to Fed Governor Lisa Cook, her lawyer has said that they're going to be filing a lawsuit challenging this legal action. What is your response? Are you prepared for a legal fight? And then a little bit more.
Oh, sure, always. You always have
question,
legal
sir.
fights. Look,
And
I
then
had a
also
legal
football.
fight that went on for years with crooked people, with very horrible people that have been found out now between John Ratcliffe and Tulsi and Pam. And I mean, the things that we found out, of course, it's a very, very sad group of people. But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction, because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board, and it doesn't seem like she was.
If she did it, I agree. Not 100% above board. And I agree with this concept of maybe for people in such high positions of power, they should be kind of unreproachable. Like, I get it. Like, whatever. If she messed it up, and obviously we're going to wait for information to come out. Remember, in this country, you are innocent till proven guilty. I'm seeing a lot of people over here on Rumble assume she is guilty, which is kind of interesting because you also take the mindset that when Trump is accused of something, you say the same thing. No, innocent till proven guilty. In this country, you have to prove something. That's how it works. I just find it really, really interesting that I assume if you voted for Trump, you take that mindset of innocent till proven guilty. But then when it's someone that he's going against, you're taking the mindset of guilty until proven innocent. I'm just saying, hey, don't shoot the messenger, but maybe you should be a little bit more logically consistent with your argument. Hey, if you want to pick one side or the other, great. But when you're flip-flopping back and forth based on just whoever you like, that's not really like the adult thing to do. But I admit it, if she did this, if it is proven that she committed some form of fraud, yeah, at a position of this high of power, yeah, maybe you should be a little bit more, I don't know, above board with your finances. I think that's fine. But also this is going to have the side effect of him clearly controlling the Fed. Like, he would have never looked into this if he didn't want to control the Fed himself. So it's kind of like a weird catch-22 situation. And honestly, it's not like my opinion matters. It's not like I'm the lawyer in the case. It's not like I'm going to be the next Fed governor. So we're just going to sit back and see how the story plays out. But remember, a lot of this stuff isn't mutually exclusive. It can be very true that she did something she didn't want to do, but he was already looking for a way to control the Fed. And if you think in any manner at all, as an adult, that this isn't screwing with the concept of Fed independence, I have a bridge to sell you, because that's crazy. Fed responds to Trump effort to fire Lisa Cook, notes president needs cause. So this came out yesterday. The body of the Fed basically said, we will do what we are legally told to do. So if there is some sort of judge or legal system that says, yes, Lisa Cook committed fraud, they will follow really what they're told to do. If there's no legal system that tells them they have to get rid of her, they're not going to get rid of her. Once again, they're doing everything in their power to try to stay independent here. Like, they're just going to do what they are told to do. So they're not necessarily defending Lisa Cook. She obviously has her own attorney already, but they're not necessarily going against her either. They're trying to stay neutral here, and they're going to do whatever a judge tells them to do. Trump's Fed aggression poses new legal tests for presidential power. Move to fire the Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook comes after the Supreme Court signaled the intention to protect central banks' independence. So, big question recently is, does he have the power to do it? The answer is kind of yes, kind of no. The president in the United States does not have the power to get rid of a Fed governor at will. They can they have to have cause. In this particular circumstance, it might be with cause due to the whole loan fraud thing. But he can't just arbitrarily do it. So this idea of like that letter he put out on Truth Social to like, oh, you're fired, he actually can't do that, because that at that point, from a legal perspective, we'd be considered at will. But if there's a legal reason here, like if it's proven that she has committed fraud, well, then it gets into the kind of murkier waters, but that's a stronger case for having cause. So with all this, why is it a big deal? Well, it all comes back to the Fed rate and who's voting for cuts and who's not voting for cuts. And I should let you know the current odds, which I do like them way better on Polymarket, just in terms of like, not the numbers themselves, just how it's visually shown. But for that September meeting, mid-September, about in 79% chance of 25 bips, and then a 18% chance of no change whatsoever. So you could see going up until the Jerome Powell statement, they were actually really, really close, almost 50-50. And then right after we heard that, we don't really have to get 2% right away, those odds dropped. And obviously when I'm saying 2%, I'm referring to inflation of like, it's kind of our longer term target. We might dance around above, inside out, but whatever. So that's right why we had this giant change. And then the next time we're going to have a clear change will be this Friday by 8:31, a minute after the PCE report. You're going to see big changes in this. Senate panel prepares to hold hearing on Trump's Fed pick. So this has nothing to do with Lisa Cook. Remember, we already have Kugler. She stepped down a couple weeks ago. That was some news. She was the one vote in the FOMC the last time around who just abstained. She didn't vote. And right now, Trump already has his pick. So this guy, Stephen Miron, he's going to go through the Senate Banking Committee. They're going to basically I don't know, if they're right-leaning, they're going to talk about how great he is, how awesome Trump is, and how he's such a solid pick. If they happen to be a left-leaning senator, they're going to talk about how awful Trump is, how awful the pick he is, and how the Fed no longer has any independence. So it's going to be obviously a very polarized type of a situation, and we're going to be finding out very shortly. But this has nothing to do with Lisa Cook. This is already a person so Trump's probably about to have two, and in reality, he's really going to have three. So Kugler, she stepped down. Lisa Cook might get the boot. We know Jerome Powell's going to be leaving in May of next year. So before you know it, he's going to have the majority. So people he intentionally put in there are going to have the majority vote, and that's just basically how votes go. Don't forget, as I alluded to a little bit ago, EU to propose removing U.S. tariffs this week to meet Trump demand. So basically, the trade-off here is they want vehicles for a better price. The European Union will propose removing all tariffs on the U.S. industrial goods in an effort to meet President Trump's demands. In exchange, the U.S. is expected to lower tariffs on automobiles coming from the EU. So when it comes to the trade war, which I agree with him much more on this than I do the Fed independence stuff, he's winning the trade war. I don't know how anyone, unless you're like really just so spun up and you just hate Trump, when it comes to the trade war, you might think that he was a little bit of a bull in a china cabinet, and I think there's an argument for that. But at the end of the day, he got exactly what he wanted. And if you support the U.S. economically due to the trade war that's been going on from April till now, we are in a better position. We have better trade agreements. They now favor us rather than if you looked into them before, they very much didn't favor us. So if you just support the U.S. economy and what's going on, it depends more of like, do you support your own country or are you a globalist? Globally, this isn't good for the rest of the world. For the U.S., we are now much better off. So it kind of depends on you and your vantage point in this situation. But when it comes to the trade war, I'm obviously going to support the U.S. through and through. And the fact that he pulled this off, and just every single time we catch this news, basically it's another country just agreeing to whatever Trump wants. So I would say very evidently we were the victors in that. If you haven't already, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter, maccores.locals.com. Every single Sunday, I break down what's going on in the market. I give you a cheat sheet for the earnings, all the major macroeconomic events, and then the seasonality of each day, which brings us to Wednesday, August the 27th. Over the past 27 years, the better part of 3 decades, the Bulls have won this day 56% of the time. You can see for the first 2 decades, slightly down, slightly nowhere. And then over the past 7 years, the Bulls have taken control of this. So that's why I have this seasonality as leaning bullish, because for deeper back in history, this day did nothing. In recent history, the past 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, it's actually been a really solid day, which is why it's not really neutral, but it's not really fully on bullish. So overall, we are looking pretty dandy. And really the reason the profit factor is low is because the very first year, 27 years ago, this particular day was bearish. So it's a little bit distorted if you ask me. And then to wrap up the week, Thursday and Friday are both neutral, just so you know. I had another piece of news and I just wanted to cover it because I think it was funny, but Cracker Barrel already caved. If you missed this news earlier this week, late last week, the world freaked out because Cracker Barrel did rebranding and it basically pivoted hardcore away from everything I remember in my childhood, like of what I liked about Cracker Barrel, and it became not fun. It became very sterile, and they were just getting away from it. And now they've already gone back, and if you look at the stock early this morning, it's already popping because of this. They just caved. They already caved, which is interesting. interesting to say the least. So just want to let you know, Cracker Barrel, the stock doing oddly well this morning. All right. Here are my key levels of the day for my day traders out there. We have about 3 minutes to go. As I always do, I mark out the highs, the lows, the transition zone from the options perspective, and then also the major open interest levels. So right here, you can see there's a lot of junk between 65 and 68. A breakout from there, I would then be looking for a test of the all-time high. The all-time high is right here, 6481. I know this is far busier than normal, but that's just how much we have going on. If we can get out of this like chop zone, this junk zone, right here, which we are slightly below it right now at open. We're scheduled open right around 61. If we can get above this, and that will be a big breakout, I'm then looking for a test somewhere between 79 and 81. This is the high from Friday. This is the all-time high. That's a major level. And then from there, I'd be looking for a push and kind of a grind up to 6,500. That would be my bull case on the day. The bear case on the day is we sell, we don't hold 50, we push down to 40, we're at the bottom of the transition zone, and then we puke until yesterday's low around 6429. That would be my bear case. So I always have the bull case, I always have the bear case. Personally, for me today, I'm only looking to take advantage of the bull case. If we end up trending down and just nothing's really looking that good, probably won't do anything, especially with earnings on deck tonight for NVIDIA. So I want you guys to know the cases, and I want you to know the levels, and obviously feel free to write these down. Feel free to mark them up, to write, do whatever, screenshot it. I don't really care. Use them if you want them. Don't use them if you don't want them. I'm just letting you know these are my levels. And personally, I'm looking for the bull case to play out. But of course, we'll have to be looking at the flow throughout the day to get an idea of where people are positioning as we go into NVIDIA's earnings. And on that note, before the market opens, I should let you know, as of right now, NVIDIA is expected to have a 5.5% move after earnings, which is roughly a $250 billion move. So from market close, basically to market open, it is expected. The options market is pricing in a 5.5% move, and that's coming right when NVIDIA is pretty much at its all-time high. So could be very, very, very interesting. Is that all on? Is this all on? Do I have what I need? All right, we're not doing a strategy today because we don't know what the fuck is going on. I just want to make sure that I am ready to go. I am ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and then we have all of these. Okay, yeah, I have my accounts. I'm ready to rip it. I'm ready to see what in the world is going on before the market really gets going. Don't forget, this is the last day to get 80% off on Apex. It allegedly ends in 15 hours. Don't forget to use that code Goonie. And then also Bookmap. This is the tool where I see all the sitting buy orders and all the sitting sell orders. If you want a nice discount there, they have different plans, different data packages, different time frames. So you use that link pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. Obviously, a shout out to Bookmap and a shout out to Apex. And on that note, let's get going. We have about 10 seconds. Let's get this map ready. Ready. Dingity ding ding ding. The world's largest casino is now open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly, and if not, have fun. Remember, it's just money. You can't take it with you when you go. All right, as we are waiting for this open, obviously the first natural target on the SPY and on the Qs is yesterday's close. So on the SPY, you could play this up to 645.02. On the Qs, you could play it up to 572.61. You might want to wait for a little bit of a lower risk, high reward opportunity to get in. But just statistically, the chances of hitting the previous day's closing value in the next day's trading session is very, very high. And depending on how big the gap is, obviously there's different numbers related to it. But anyway, in a general sense, that is quote unquote a smart play, a positive EV play if you can manage your risk properly. The other major play that I've been watching lately is Tesla, and it's just because this thing is fucking rocking, dude. Tesla is looking like that Sydney Sweeney ad right now, because if it could get this, it's now above this support at 350. If it could take out this wall at 365, The high vol point is 385. Like we're kind of getting over this mountaintop right now, and the gamma should be supportive all the way down to this valley. This is just going to be the market maker influence from the options market. Obviously, it's dynamic, and this is going to change as people choose to trade, but it really just needs to get above this wall at 365. So we have big support at 350, resistance at 365. If it could take that out, we might be talking about 385, which is exactly, well, look at that pop, which is exactly why I'm watching Tesla. The longer this holds above 350, the more confident in it I become. And I'm not just saying it to say it. Everyone in the Discord knows that I've been in this one for a hot minute. I've been playing this old Tesla. I'm up 71%. I'm up just over 10K as of now. So I've been in this for ever since the 22nd. So it's a little bit of a smaller swing trade for me, smaller term swing trade. So I'm basically just letting you know the levels I'm watching. Obviously, you could handle it however you believe is appropriate, but I'm using this support, I'm watching this resistance, and then I have kind of my extreme reach target in mind. And I guess while we're here, we might as well start talking about some of these other things. So the SPY is at 645, which, surprise, surprise, is a massively fucking important level. Let me show you this. So 645, we have support at 640. We have resistance at 46 and 49. So above 46, or excuse me, this was 48. Right here, this $2 range, aka the all-time high, there's a lot of people setting up resistance right there. So if we can break it, we have a shot to go. But once again, I just want to clarify, we are right at resistance right now with relation to the SPY. The Qs have a little bit of a different story going on. The Qs currently trading around 572. So we actually have support just below us on the Qs, but there's big resistance at 575, and then you could actually target 580. But 575 is going to be that major level for my swing traders that you want the NASDAQ to break above. Once again, 575 on the Qs. So once again, feel free to screenshot this, do whatever you want. This is all from Spot Gamma, one of the most phenomenal tools you can be using to trade. NVIDIA, I should clarify, out of all of the research I've ever done on a stock's performance going up to its earnings, there's no correlation with the stock's performance right before its earnings predicting does it beat earnings or not. So if you think Nvidia going up or down today, up a couple dollars, down a couple dollars, is somehow like, oh, like earnings are going to be really good or really bad, unfortunately, the odds just don't suggest that. It's about a 50-50 thing of if we push into earnings, is it good or bad? If we fall off into earnings, it's a 50-50 good or bad. So it's a thing that I myself like have personally done a lot of research to see if I could find some particular edge of the trading session right before earnings and it being predictive for an earnings beat or miss. And it's just simply not, unfortunately. So don't read into it, whether bullish or bearish today. Please don't read into it. If we happen to be bullish or bearish today in terms of NVIDIA's price action, that does not have any indication or correlation of are we going to beat earnings or not. 50-50, you're flipping a coin. So if you want to play NVIDIA's earnings, if you like really want to, it's kind of an old adage, but it's probably safer to just do it right at market close, whether you're buying premium, selling premium, because you're then at least closer to that point of the expected 5.9% move up or down. While if you do it before, you're kind of taking that risk where you might be eating into it, but also it might benefit you. So if you want to lessen the risk of the actual earnings move, commonly people wait a little bit closer, especially if you're selling premium. Buy the rumor, sell the news. That probably doesn't have anything to do with this because it's not really an event like that of like unveiling a new chip or something like that. This is just a scheduled earnings call. And if they beat and have good guidance, it's going to have a big gap up and the biggest stock in the world is going to become that much bigger. On the flip side, very much on the flip side, if it completely misses, I think all hell might break loose. So it's gonna get interesting. It's gonna get very, very, very interesting. I almost took that breakout trade right there, and I'm kind of wondering if I should have, because my risk would have just been this recent low. That would have actually been pretty nice. Should I have done that trade? Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. I kind of like it. It's trying to take out this shelf. You have well-defined risk. You could use the opening low. You could use that, but it's kind of a little too early in the day. I'm trying to be a bit better. I'm trying to be a bit more disciplined. I'm trying to not like spaz out and take a losing trade and then get tilted and blow out my entire account. So maybe I should just wait a little bit more. Maybe wait till at least like, I don't know, 940, 945. The SPY's currently battling it out at that red to green move. It's like literally right at its closing value, while the Qs do have a little bit more distance. And I think there's a high chance of us testing that today. It's just, can I take advantage of it with a low risk opportunity? So it's one thing for me to know the odds of us hitting it there, but it's, oh, fuck, dude, Tesla's going. Tesla's going, dude. Hell yeah, Tesla. Show us what you're made of, brother. Tesla, one of the few green things on my watch list today. The Russell keeps going too. So we just tagged 355, which is that key level. Obviously, it's resistance, and at resistance, you have one or two options. You either break out and you rip it, or you get smacked, and that's exactly what just happened. Smacked almost instantly by $1. Do not be surprised if there's some profit taking at that level. Do not be surprised in the slightest. NVIDIA, what's the flow thus far this morning? What is the flow thus far this morning? Okay, so the S&P 500 flow is looking very good for the first 7 minutes. The Mag 7 flow is also looking very good for the first 7 minutes. The big guys have not done shit today. All right, interesting. All right, Qs are a little bit sideways, a little wick there. The SPY is officially green on the day. What time is it? It is 9:37. I'm liking this low. Oh, where's this bar going to close? When's this bar close? How much time do I have? I have technically 12 seconds, and it's already running away from me. It is 9:38. Maybe a little bit of a double top right there. Oh, do I like it? I like the odds. It's just, can I get that perfect opportunity for minimal risk? I'm really, really trying to only take advantage of it. That's really not that far away. That's 10 points. Like, that's, if you're wrong, it's only a paper cut. You could so easily make that back. But the only thing I don't like about this is that it's early. We are pretty early in the day. But there's also no announcements at 10 or anything like that. NVIDIA is getting a little bit hit. Not the biggest fan of that. Tesla's going sideways. It did spike to 55. Not much of a follow through. All right, Qs are going sideways. SPY is up. Obviously, here's the daily structure. Looking pretty strong, but everyone's just going to be watching 6, 4, 7, 8. So I should point out that we are, right at the top of this zone. Will this breakout hold? Remember when I told you there was all this junk here from yesterday? We have yesterday's high, we have yesterday's close, we have a key open interest level, and it's the top of the transition zone. It's attempting to get out, but the question is, will it? That is the question right here. Will it actually hold this and then set up a push? Basically, 75 would be the first one, followed by the all-time high at 81. Hang on.
Order submitted.
Wow, really slow today.
Order submitted.
Okay, what am I looking for? 25. Where is VWAP? VWAP is 80. All right. VWAP is 80. 600. All right, we'll see. My risk, it's small, it's controlled. I probably, and instantly comes down to it. I thought that this third time was the charm. Obviously, we're still kind of range bound. I'm betting on the breakout rather than the breakdown exclusively because I'm seeing how the SPY is doing right now. I'm hoping the SPY is the right one and it drags the Qs up with it rather than the other way around, that the Qs are right and they dump and they bring the SPY. So it's a little bit of a 50-50 bet, but it's all right because on a 50-50 bet, half the time I trade, I'm going to be wrong, folks. It's all about the risk management and the reward management of when you get into the trade. So I believe I'm on the right side. Obviously, I want to do better than 50-50. I didn't realize that the Mag 7 just dumped like that. I thought it was looking a little bit better, but I'm really liking how the SPY is looking. So I'm hoping that I'm not in one of these situations where I unfortunately get wicked out. I didn't realize that the Mag 7 was looking good and then dumped at 936. We'll see. If it can catch itself, I'll be looking good. Probably should have executed it via ES just because it's showing a little bit more strength. But hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. This is frustrating. But it's going to be a good lesson for me. I have a feeling that this is going to wick me out and then go anyway. I feel very strongly we're going to be hitting these levels at some point today, but I'm not going to move my wrist down just because that's the dumb shit that I normally do. And whatever, once in a while you could get away with it, but it's just that one time that you move your wrist and you're like, dude, I'm just going to give it a second to breathe. And it just doesn't do it. I suppose the other thing I could watch, there is support at 30. Mine's at 35. So I could give it 5 more points. But I think that's just like kind of taking the wrong lesson here. See, the problem is we're having a tough time breaking above 50. I could always re-enter.
Filled.
Yeah, my stop was just filled. I took a stab at it. Risk is controlled. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be what it's going to be because you never know. So in a weird sense, I'm kind of happy I didn't move it to 30 because it would have just taken me out right there anyway. But this might be shaping up and it would have taken that one out. So in reality, this is a good lesson that even though I took a loss, which sucks, obviously relative to yesterday, I'm still ahead. But right there, it's just wicking a bunch of people out and that shit happens. It's how it goes. Remember, in the short term, there's quite a bit of noise. So what I'm looking for is a classic reversal setup right now. And I'm looking for a little bit of stabilization in the options flow. The SPY option flow is really strong. This is part of the reason why I had that bullish bias, just because there's a lot of aggression in the market. The Mag 7, this is kind of what screwed me over. It looks like we have a little bit of profit taking. Yeah, some calls for Friday are being sold. So this is just that morning like bullshit. And it happens. It happens. It happens. It happens. But as long as you keep your risk small, it's all right. Like, remember, more specific to scalp trading, more specific to day trading, there's a lot of noise. Mathematically means that there's a lot of randomness, as a lot of the time you're gonna be about 50-50. If you generically are saying like, hey, I'm going for 10 points and I'm risking 10 points, in any given scenario, it's gonna be about a 50-50 risk reward. I wanna be very, very clear on that. And this is exactly why I got out as soon as it broke, because of events like this. Yeah, I mean, you could say, but what about the times it just wicks you out and it goes? Like, yeah, and that's true, and that sucks, and you sit there and you're like, oh, I just got wicked out. They came for my stop. But then there's the times that it actually does break your support and it keeps going, and at that point, if that ever happens to you, well, now you're risking blowing out your entire account. So remember, these people who tell you that they're right all of the time, mainly they're going to be lying to you. I'll just tell you straight up that they are lying to you. Hang on, I might have to re-enter here soon because I see the SPY going. Hang on. Remember, this is a game of pretty much 50-50 odds, and it comes down to your risk management. It's not this thing of like, oh, wow, you have a model that's right all the time. It's just simply not how this game works. Oh, but I am interested in a recapture of 37. So the SPY is right at that. It's attempting to get that breakout and that push up to 75. See, this is why I was saying, oh, I kind of wish I played ES because my risk would have never been hit. So if I played the ES contract, I would have been a bit better. The reason the Qs are relatively weak, NVIDIA is going down. Most likely it's because calls are being sold on NVIDIA right here. Wow, look at that. It's almost as if NVIDIA has a huge impact on the Mag 7, which has a huge impact on the NASDAQ. So right here, what we're seeing, why the SPY is stronger and the Qs are weaker, it is like I'm showing you. It's because NVIDIA calls are being sold and puts are being bought, and the delta is dropping like no other specifically on NVIDIA. This is very, very specific to NVIDIA. Big influence on the Mag 7, big influence on the NASDAQ, big influence on the SPY, but it has, out of all of those, it has the least influence on the SPY, and you're kind of seeing that in real time with the SPY relatively holding better. All right. Even though I took a loss, I've done one trade today. I'm actually really happy. I would consider that a good loss. Like I said, when you get in, you roughly have a 50-50 chance. I kept my loss small. I didn't move my stop loss down. And had I moved it down, it like just would have been worse. Like I was out at, I don't even know. I was out at 40 I was out all the way back here at 40, and it's now, that would have been, because I traded 2 contracts. If I held to here at 500, which this is big support, hopefully it holds, that would have been way, way, way worse off. Actually, 800, it would have been, Jesus, it would have been $1,600 worse. So this would be down 2.8K right now. So remember, when it comes to active trading, I'm talking about like day trading, scalp trading, it's much, much, much more of a game of risk management. If your goal is to basically just be right all the time, well, it's only a matter of time before you get that, like that bad beat and you blow out your account. You just want to take reasonable, manageable, small losses and then move on from there. And actually, I'm still interested in buying this dip. The SPY is looking good to me. What I'm waiting for is for NVIDIA to chill out. As soon as this NVIDIA, whatever sell-off is done, it looks like it might be bouncing right here a little bit. Maybe. What time is it? 9:47. We'll see. We'll see. We did make a 2 standard deviation move in the NQ, which is also statistically rare. All right. We'll take another stab at it. And guess what? I'm going to keep my loss reasonable, manageable. Oh. All right. I'm just throwing this one up here for now. That's not actually my price target. But I do the sell-off at 40. 40. Lordy, look who's 40. Lordy, look who's 40. All right, so there is some resistance at 40, and then the point of control is 55. So I'm closely watching this 40. A lot of people trying to sell there. Point of control is at 55, and for a second there, people were trying to sell at 60. So do I want to take my first profit there at 40, or do I want to push it for 55? 40, it is resistance. All right, so I need to pay very, very close attention to this level. I got that long at 12. And it looks like it's risking 93, so it's a 15-point risk. So basically, I'm only risking $600. Like I said, oh, fuck. Someone just dumped size. Holy shit. What the fuck was that? Look at that. Someone just dumped a lot of size. What in the world? Is it going to recover? There are some people at 500. Jesus, look at that. Just, you could see that spike. That was a lot of someone just marketed out. Couple hundred contracts. Jesus. Well, I was looking good for a second. It was actually looking really good. You could even see it here. That was looking awesome for a second. And then boom. Yeah, it's going to get stopped out. Shit.
Stop filled.
Motherfucker. Dude, that was looking so good. And then it just hit 30 and got smacked. Lisa Cook just closed all of her positions. Dude, someone just splashed the pot there. What was that on? It wasn't necessarily NVIDIA. What happened? Oh, right here. Someone dumped something in the Mag 7. Was it Tesla? No. Was it NVIDIA? Kind of. Was it Palantir? A little bit. Was it Microsoft? Microsoft popped and dropped. Apple. Someone dropped on Apple. Netflix has been drifting down all day. MicroStrategy drifting down all day. Meta drifting down all day. Avago also got a hit there. AMD really got a hit there. Hood, that's not going to have that much influence. Oh, wow. Wow. All right, 5 minute is on the bearish side of things. 10 minute is on the bearish side of things. 30 minute is trying to hold bullish on the ES here. Coming to NQ, 5 minute is definitely bearish. 10 minute is definitely bearish. 30 minute is definitely bearish. Right here, the 5, the 10, and the 30, probably you could criticize me and say, why were you attempting to go long? Once again, I've been kind of focusing more on the SPY of like the key levels of the SPY. Oh, Jesus. Where are we at? What time is it? It is 9:51. Yeah, I really liked that for a second, and it just got smashed. And knowing my luck, this will be the double bottom, and it rips anyway. But just in case it's not, you have to respect your risk. And I know I sound like a broken record, but if anything, it's just to remind myself of like, don't get into that mindset of like, no, it's just going to go a little more and then it's going to come back for me. No, your stop is your stop. Just like stick to your stock. That's the point of it. And I didn't realize that the Nasdaq was good. Dude, that one seller, I'd be almost back to break even right now. But that's like the dangerous what it could have showed a game. It's really, really dangerous to do that because you almost, your brain focuses on the times that you should have. You're like, no, but it would have worked. Like, what are you talking about? And before you know it, you like kind of forget all the times that it like actually saved you. Like, for example, if I was doing that type of reasoning early this morning, I would still be in that and I'd be down like 3K or something. So it's very easy for our brains to focus on the times where if you were a little bit extra of a degenerate, it would have worked out for you. And you forget all the times that like it actually kind of saved your account. What are we doing here? Oh, am I being silly and trying to force this now? Something about it still tells me we're bouncing back, but am I just being biased because of my own swing positions and I want it to bounce back? I might be. Dude. Something about it. Nvidia's catching a bit of a bid. Oh, whoa. Is anyone buying this dip or are you guys shorting this? Nah, Matt, you don't sound like a broken record. You sound like someone who smokes a bit of crack, though. You know it. You know it. You know me and the old crack pipe.
Order submitted.
You know me and the old crack pipe. We are, some say, the best of friends. Some say the best of friends. All right, I'm looking for a new high. So right now we were going flat, lower highs, lower lows, and I'm looking for a potential new structure taking out 571.35. That would be a new high. And then the question is, what's the next low going to be? With respect to the SPY, we do have higher highs and I guess equal lows. So it did pump up. We caught ourselves basically at 645, and I'm looking for that pushback up to. All right, cool, right there. We did just get a fresh high. So a potential market structure shift. When I say that term, market structure shift, for whatever time frame you're on, look at the recent highs, look at the recent lows. Which way are they trending? On the 1 minute chart, the Qs were trending lower highs and lower lows. On this pump, we took out a recent high. So that means we at least have higher highs. The question is, where's the next low? Is the next low going to be below this 949 low, the recent low, or is it going to be above it? Because that could, if it is above it, that means we have lower highs and lower lows now into higher highs and higher lows, a structural change from bearish to bullish. And that's exactly what I'm personally trying to play. What is the high of the day? The high of the day, I believe, is 65. I think it's 65. We'll see. I don't fucking know, dude. 50-50. Is it going up? Maybe. Is it going down? Fucking maybe. All I can tell you is my job. You really, as a day trader, as a scalp trader, your major job, like, and you're not necessarily, like, of course it's somewhat true in investing, but it's very, very different. The shorter your time frame is, the more important is that you're in control of the red line, the stop. You need to be so insanely like on top of that and protective of it that this is your major focus of what can you do to minimize your risk. Like, that's it. Just minimize your risk, minimize your risk, minimize your risk. That is the goal. And right here. So we did take out this recent high. Maybe you could see it a bit better here. We took out the high. That's a fresh new high. The question is is what's the next low. Obviously, I do not want it to hit 487, but I would even like for it to stay on top of 501 because that is technically important and also psychologically important. Obviously, that's a big psychological level. So we do have a potential fresh high. This high is higher than this high. Like I said, the goal in question here is where's the next low? And we might be putting that in right now, which would be above this low. So that would officially complete the market structure change. We're going from lower highs and lower lows to now we have a higher high. And at this point, depending on where this bar, no, not yet. We're just basically at this point hoping this is the low relative to this one. That would be a higher low. So from bearish to bullish, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. We don't need to overcomplicate it as long as you can, like literally if you have the capability to say, hey, that's a high. Hey, that's a high. Hey, that's a low. Hey, that's a low. Hey, that's a low. Like literally, like I hate in the game of retail trading, there's always people trying to fucking overcomplicate this. Like really, really, really trying to overcomplicate it of like, but fucking here's this draw on liquidity, man. And then did you see this indicator? We have this cloud, but then don't forget that Mercury is in fucking retrograde this week. You don't have to do that. If you like to do that stuff and it makes you money and you're net profitable, have at it. But maybe if you're not net profitable, maybe you're a little bit too complicating the process. Maybe it can be as simple as here's a pivot high, here's a pivot high, here's a pivot low, here's a pivot low, here's a pivot low. And you could get like it's just basically one simple way to define trend. There's a gazillion and a half ways to define trend. You could look at EMAs, you could look at MACD, you could look at stochastics, like you could look at so many different things. And I think with that, and they're good and they all have their place. I would never like shit on them. Like just know the capabilities of each tool. It's just another way to define trend. And I think there's too many people trying to overcomplicate it with all this shit. And basically just, you can be a phenomenal trader by just looking at highs and lows and ask yourself, are the highs getting higher? Are the lows getting higher? Are the highs getting lower? Are the lows getting lower? Are the highs dropping and the lows rising? Are you consolidating? Are you expanding? Highs higher, lows lower? Like those are your four options. There's only four fucking categories, people. That's it. There's four. Keep it simple. Higher highs, higher lows, bullish. Lower highs, lower lows, bearish. Lower highs, higher lows, consolidation. Higher highs, lower lows, expansion. Like, that's it. Keep it that simple. There's literally four cases for you to consider. And my very first trade of the day, I was like, okay, that was just more of a breakout trade, and I took it. Here, I was trying to catch the bottom, which was silly because you could fairly argue, Matt, why are you trying to catch the bottom when you didn't know if the structure shifts? So this first trade, I'm completely fine with. This second one, I think, deserves fair criticism right here. You're like, well, hang on. Yeah, you saw it start to pop a little bit, and maybe you do catch it, but you didn't base it off the next low. Like you're just basing it off of saying, hey, I hope that's the low of the day. So this second trade very fairly deserves criticism. And obviously I got stopped out. But then the next one I got into, yeah, we saw our first higher low, and then I got lucky and we got this break, and we have this higher low now. And basically I'm just hoping that we could hold it, and I'm hoping we break out of 41. We'll keep it that simple. Matt equals big bottom catcher. Some days, I suppose. All right, let's change this up so we know for breakouts and breakdowns. But overall, so obviously I was very zoomed in that, like, remember, you're going to have different trends on different time frames. What's bullish on one time frame might be bearish on another. So remember to keep your trend analysis specific to the time frame you're on. And I find that life is easier when the trend matches up on multiple time frames. So if you get a match on like a 1, a 5, a 10, and a 30, generally that's going to be a stronger trade. So remember, there's no end-all be-all indicator. There's no end-all be-all time frame. If anything, I've found that the best traders, they're using a confluence of things. And right now, yeah, we're seeing an attempted pivot on both the SPY and on the Qs. On the larger time frame, the 5 is actually pushing here. We could zoom out. The 10-minute on ES is going flat. The 5 minutes attempting to recover. The 30-minute overall, I'm seeing a higher low right here. Let's see if we can make a fresh high. And same thing on the 4-hour. Higher highs, higher lows. We're looking for that fresh high now, but we did put in a higher low on Tuesday. So that's why I like to check multiple time frames, just basically to see if there's agreement across the board or if there's more confusion across the board. 30-minute, technically that's a higher low, but I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that I'm long and the 5, the 10, and the 30 are all below the EMA. It does, like, in my mind, feel like I'm still trying to catch a falling knife, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Part of what's going on in my mind is I know there's such a high odds chance of the SPY. Well, technically, I already touched it. I actually know there's a very high odds chance of the Qs touching 572.61 today. But just because it's high odds, it's not a guarantee. So maybe I'm taking an outsized bet on a day that it's just a bad beat. Obviously, that's possible as well. But one thing that I've been watching on my other screen is kind of what's going on here. Actually, where is my support at? What is that? I could move it to 16. Oh, I'm thinking, so I'm long at 20, and there's actually support at 26, and there's also support at 20. So I'm thinking maybe of moving my risk a little bit early because we are having a tough time breaking through all this. There's a lot of sellers up here. There's a lot of buyers down here, and it's creating this sideways price action. A lot of people trying to dump it at 41. A lot of people trying to buy it at 24, 26, and then also at 20. So we kind of have to wait and see who's more aggressive and who's going to break what side. A lot of sell side up here, passive sell orders, a lot of passive buy orders down here. Oh man, someone is really trying to dump this at 40, 41, right where my cursor is. But then people are really trying to buy it quite aggressively at 25, 26. Seeing all these sitting sell orders, seeing all these sitting buy orders, honestly, I would argue that it's kind of anyone's game at this moment, which I think if it's anyone's game, should I just move my stop? Like, the system doesn't necessarily call for it right now, but I could just take all my risk off the table, especially because I already do have two stupid losers. Two stupid losers on the day. All right, maybe it can take... Oh, we are taking those guys out. Yeah, fuck those sellers. Those pussy-ass sellers. Losers. All those people selling there were those fucking losers you picked last in dodgeball back in middle school gym. You're like, I don't want fucking Jimmy on my team. Jimmy throws like a girl. That was this Jimmy right there who never picked for dodgeball was the same guy who just got completely steamrolled. Completely steamrolled. What's the bubble chart you're using? It's called Bookmap, and it's basically a super advanced DOM, depth of market. And what it does is it shows you the sitting buy orders, like passive buy orders below, the sitting sell orders, the passive sell orders above, and then the bubbles and whatnot are actual orders that hit, like where a seller and a buyer agreed. So if it's green, that means it was aggressive buying, as in the seller and the buyer met on the ask. And then if it's red, that's aggressive selling, as in the buyer and the seller met on the bid. So basically aggressive buying and aggressive selling. These are actual trades hitting the market, while the heat map is just the sitting orders. They might get filled, they might not get filled. They might get added to, they might get pulled, they might get moved. These are just the current sitting orders in the market. So right here, I could tell you there's a good chunk of people attempting to buy at 23,520. They're sitting there. Now, they don't have to keep them there. They could add to it. They could remove it. They could go up a couple points. They could drop it a couple points. They could just turn it into a market order. They can do whatever you want. But as of this exact moment, it is true to say that there's a decent chunk of sitting buy orders just to buy, passive buy orders right here. And then also the same can be said about 550, a good chunk of sitting passive sell orders. So sell orders above, buy orders below, and then the chart and what you're seeing is the movement of the best bid and the best ask. And then also the bubbles are the aggressive buying and the aggressive selling. So once again, it's called Bookmap. It's pinned to the top of chat. You could get a nice discount on it. If you use that, you're going to see they have a free version. They have monthly, annual, and they have all these different packages. So obviously just pick what you think is appropriate for you. Check it out. I think it's a pretty good tool. I should let you know that I found the most utility of it for active traders. So like if you're a day trader or scalp trader, something like that, I really haven't found the most use for it for swing trading. So if you're a swing trader, just to be honest and transparent, maybe there's a way to do it with that, but it's just not. I found that it's really good for fine-tuned entries and exits, and maybe you want to do that with your swing trading, and hey, whatever. But I found that like when I'm trying to like swing big positions, I more so care about options flow rather than just like the intraday sitting orders, if that makes sense. So I don't know, just to be transparent, that if you're a swing trader, maybe you find utility, but as a swing trader, it's probably more useful for you to use something like Spot Gamma. And then if you're a day trader, I would definitely say spot gamma and bookmap is where it's at. The SPY is looking good. Right here, we're seeing that structure. Nice. How's Bitcoin doing? Fucking Bitcoin. All right, the SPY is waking up for sure. All right, so 6,475 is a big open interest level. We have 6,479 as the high from Friday of the Jerome Powell statement. And then the all-time high, 6,481. So 75, 79, and then 81 in that order. If this can confidently hold above 68, which once again is yesterday's high, key technical level, key psychological level. So watch 75, watch 79, watch 81. 81 is very important. That's the all-time high. And then that sets us up most likely for a test of 6,500, but there might be a little bit of a speed bump here at 6,490 because once again, there's quite a bit of a gamma influence at 6,490. So just want to call that out. What is this bet? $80. Yeah, okay. So these are the people playing right here. It's a 3.5 contract, 3.5 thousand contract bet. These people are playing the test of the all-time high. And then obviously you have people playing the test of 6,500 and then quite a bit of positive gamma higher at 6,520, which you could use as your reach target. Actually, speaking of reach targets, your boy maybe did something right. Where did NQ close yesterday? Does anyone know that off the top of their head? Where did NQ close? Closing value 607. 607. 65. 73. I'm trying to think about where I should get out of this first one. 80, 75. 75. 75. Okay, so as you can see, I dramatically reduced my risk. My risk is now 16. I'm in at 20. I'm risking 4 points on 2 contracts. I moved up my first price target to 75. Why 75? Just because it seems to be structurally pretty important. It's an overshoot of this 30-minute high. We have some wicks, and then it's a little above, a little below. So it's kind of at this like 50 EMA as well. So I could anywhere from 70 to 75. You could put it at 72. This is like roughly the region I'm at. Obviously, once again, coming back to like fine tuning the exact exit, I'll be using this tool, but I just kind of put that up there in case there's like a random mass explosion and we push higher. And then that brings up the question. And then my next target would be 25. All right. Remember, my job as a trader, I'm in control of this red line. I'm in control of the risk. And then other than that, maybe it goes your way, maybe it doesn't. I wish I didn't take that second trade. It was arguably a stupid trade, but I almost got myself out of this hole. So it is what it is. What is, 65, 86, 70. So somewhere between 70 and 86, I should be targeting. So 60, we're running into a bit of resistance. This also happens to be VWAP, this white horizontal line. That is the volume weighted average price. So people are dumping it at 60 and 65 and then 75. So, ooh, should I be unloading one here? I'll give it a second. You know, 75. Interessante, Batman. Interessante. All right, I'll set up an alert for this one at 6475 on the SPY. Obviously, you don't want it to go below this recent low at 66. All right, we might be running into a little bit of a VWAP problem, which I hope is not true because the structural, like VWAP, people might react to it. I'm hoping they don't. Looks like they did. Technically, I would have never gotten my fill anyway. I would have put it at 60. It looks like it was rejected at 59. So that's a fucking bummer. Yeah, I would have put it right at VWAP. So I would have never got my fill anyway. And yeah, that's reasonable. If I had more contracts, I would unload one there. I definitely identify that as a key level. I wouldn't say it's not. I just decided since I only have two, and once again, coming back to the fact that I know these odds are high of the Qs getting up to 57261, yesterday's closing value. I know the odds of that are high, so I'm taking on, I suppose, a little bit more risk for a little bit more reward. Obviously, if you take on more risk, you should expect more reward, which is why I'm kind of identifying 75, which also seems to be somewhat structurally important. And maybe the bet's worth it, maybe it's not. I guess at this point, it'd be silly for me to lose any more money, so I'll put my stop to break even just in case it starts to break down and I look like a complete asshat. So I'm at least not taking on any risk anymore. No more risk. Stop is at break even. Basically, I've done my job. If I want, I could keep moving my risk up. But I'm just hoping that this VWAP rejection is temporary and we just put in a higher low and then we pop up and I could get my fill. And then from there, I really don't care. When I get this fill on the first one, the second one's just a runner. The second one is just a runner. Come on. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. SPY's running into a little bit of an issue. So are the Qs. Fuck. Don't do. The Mag 7 is picking up. The SPY is picking up. So I like that options flow for sure. It does seem like whoever was hitting NVIDIA has stopped hitting NVIDIA. Right here. Remember we were talking about like, oh, someone's selling off. Well, at 9:52, they started buying again. Why is that not loading? Do I need to log back in? I do need to log back in. All right. The Mag 7 did get a decent pump. It's drifting a bit now. Not the biggest fan of that. Oh, hero. All right, the SPY is making a move to this next open interest level. All right, I might be getting lucky here. Old Mateo might be seeing a higher low. Remember, I'm trying to just ride the trend as much as I can. Second VWAP test, higher low. Obviously, that could be a very good level to put your stop, and I might actually do that if I'm fortunate enough for this first one to get hit. If I'm fortunate enough for this first one to get hit. Come on, rip it to 75. Rip it to, yeah, there's a lot of people selling there. So I feel good about that target. Obviously, we have to overcome this resistance at 65, 7, targeting the upper range. And I'm basically just hoping for a follow through on this VWAP. So I'm very closely watching this. Come on, fucker. My first fill is right there. 75, come on, you bitch. You fucking loser. You fucking loser. All right, we are above VWAP. We are above the point of control. I'm looking at futures brokerages to run a bot. Any thoughts on NinjaTrader? I think that's the best one to do it right now, especially because that's the major one associated with SIM defunded. So you're able to test out your strategies with lower risk. Like you could just use a SIM defunded account. So I think Ninja's fine. I think Ninja's fine. Come on. Come on. Go for it. A lot of people trying to sell at 91 now. It looks like they're moving some of these sell orders up. That block just came in. Big block. Actually, that's between 70, 75, and 91. 91 is where most people are trying to get out. Should I move mine up to 91? Should I move mine up to 91? What time is it? 10:15 right now. 10:15 now. We are slowly but surely filling that.
Order filled.
All right, just got it. I was going to say, can't move it up anymore. Okay, so finally had a winning trade. First trade was good. Didn't make money. Second trade was bad. Also didn't make money. Third trade looking pretty good. Just locked in one of two. Stop is at break even. And now I just have a runner. And I'm back to being green on the day. Obviously, my green on the day is roughly around 70, 65. So basically, if we're above VWAP, my account's going to be net green on the day. So Easy peasy lemon squeezies, all done and explained right before your very eyes. And now I have a runner. And if the runner runs, I would love to get this fill at 625, which should be another $1,000. So we'll see. Maybe it turns, maybe it doesn't. I have no freaking clue. I cannot tell you the future. As much as I want to, as much as I wish I had that capability, I in fact do not. And also, I guess you could point out if I held that very first trade from the day, technically it would have worked, but it's just so dangerous because what if we did keep selling off? Like, you could say, but Matt, you would be like way more green right now. And that's true. It's very much true. But like, think about the extra risk you're taking on. Oh, by the way, we're coming up to resistance on SPX. What the fuck? Oh, you son of a bitch. All right, 84. That bullish. So across the board, the S&P 500 is bullish. 5 minutes testing on NQ, 10 minutes testing, 30 minutes testing, 4 hour has remained bullish. All right, we do also have a bit of a technical breakout, which I'm a fan of. All right, we'll mark out all these important levels. All right, I'm ready to rip it, brother. I'm ready to rip it. We're basically playing this breakout that we got yesterday afternoon and seeing if we could get this follow through. Pretty similar picture here in the NASDAQ. Like I said, slightly weaker though. 29 is that high from post-market yesterday. How do I want to handle this? Do I really think... Oh, the Mag 7's trending up. The SPY's trending up. The big guys today are slight buyers. Interesting. All right. Well, Piper just fired. So if you are in the Discord... where the fuck? Why is my Discord not working? Oh, there we go. All right. If you are in the Discord, what is today? The 27th. 27th. All right. If you're in the Discord, Piper just fired. Basically, you could use that to identify strength of trend. And if you want the trade, you could take it. But obviously, I use it to just kind of inform some of my other decisions, which is what I'm trying to figure out right now. Oh, what do I want? Folks, should I be doing this? Should I be doing what I'm about to be doing? That's always a good question. Chat, my financial health is in your hands. My financial health is in your hands. Yeah, this shit's ripping. What the fuck? How do I not have... Oh, I'm on the wrong account. Son of a bitch. It's kind of running away from me now. All right, the queue's ripped. We're going. Moving my stop up. Oh, it's too far. God, dude, I want to take this trade so bad, but like it's just not really worth anything. I guess I won't take the trade. I'm trying to be more disciplined. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. I was about to sell it for like literally worth nothing. but it's already too far gone now. Like that pop, like I guess maybe if there's a pullback, there's something I could do there, but like it just is gone. So the SPY and the Qs are at the high from yesterday. Like I told you guys, there's a really high chance of us hitting that closing value. And hey, I took advantage of it. My question is, should I even have this as a profit target, or should I just like, or do I want to play the breakout continuation? Look at Nvidia swinging back around. Look at Tesla swinging back around. I wish Bitcoin would swing back around. Okay, back to the drawing board. What should I just target? Fuck. So the break. Oh wait, what is that level? What is this high? The high is 50. Cool. Say no more. 49. Boom. All right. My stop is 24 points in the money. So no matter what, that's going to make me $450. Or I'll be a whole nother 100 points above. So I'm long at 20. My stop's at 44. No matter what, I'm making money. And I'm targeting 50, which happens to be the high of the Jerome Powell situation right there. That's my target, 50, and your boy's trying to sell at 49. Bada bing, bada boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezies. Easy peasy lemon squeezies, folks. All right. Well, while we're waiting to see if I actually make money or not today, any questions, comments, or concerns? Can I answer any questions on Bookmap? Can I answer any questions on Apex? Don't forget to sign up for Apex. Apex, the deal is allegedly ending today. Don't forget to use that code Goonie. GOONIE will get you 80% off. Remember, you can buy up to 20 accounts. I myself have those 20 Apex accounts. So code Goonie, 80% off. And it ends tonight, just so everyone knows. Can I answer any questions on Apex? Any questions on Spot Gamma? Like I said, any questions on Bookmap? Do you want me to chart anything for you? Any questions about options in general, I suppose? Any questions about my current live positions? Help me help you. Help me help? Hang on. The fuck is this? Oh, the rejection at 600. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. A lot of people reacting to 600. Quite a few sellers at 610. Quite a few sellers at 625. Quite a few sellers at 630. So you right there. We built all the way up to 600. Flat, flat, flat. And then rejected right at 600. So I'm hoping this is just a higher low. If the trend does shift from, remember, we started off bearish, went bullish. That's what I caught. If it does switch back to bearish, of course I'm going to get out. I'm not going to just, if I see lower highs and lower lows, of course your boy's going to pull the ripcord. And if it switches back to bullish, guess what? I can take another trade. Did the 4-hour show an ascending triangle pattern? I don't specifically know what you mean by ascending triangle, but it's going up. It has higher highs and higher lows. Really, all those pattern names, like whatever, a channel, a pennant, all of that stuff, it's just fancy schmancy talk for like the structure of the highs and the lows relative to each other. So like whether that one's called a triangle or not, it doesn't really matter. Like it is going up. You have higher highs and you have higher lows. I have one. How are you doing? Dude, I've been way fucking too stressed out for like the past 2 to 3 weeks of my life. I don't know why. Been crazy stressed out actually. So I appreciate you asking that, but I'm hoping that my stress will be somewhat alleviated by Nvidia beating on earnings and me making a bunch of money tomorrow. But that's very kind of you to ask. And we are definitely, yep. So we overshot this key level. We're now finding support, setting up a test of the Jerome Powell speech high at 79, setting up a test of the all-time high at 81. All right, I will add an alert there. Once again, this white horizontal line is the high from the Jerome Powell speech, and then this white dash line is the literal all-time high for the overall stock market. But to follow back to that question of how am I? Good, dude. I'm now the commissioner of 3 different fantasy football leagues, so that's a lot of pressure. Obviously, I want to deliver for all of the contestants, for all of the competitors, because that's what they deserve. You know, they deserve a commissioner who cares about nothing else but being a good commissioner. Maybe you're pregnant. I might be. According to WebMD, I'm pregnant. So there's also that. There's also very much that. What the fuck? Oh no, that's right. No one is talking about CrowdStrike earnings today. I did. I called it out. It's just like it's hard for people to care about CrowdStrike when Nvidia is reporting. It's very, very difficult for people to give a shit about CrowdStrike when Nvidia is doing its thing. What other questions? All right, late your questions. Foosball is the devil. Foosball. It's the devil. Alligators are angry because they don't have a toothbrush to brush all them teeth. How do you add your accounts to your trading on the right side of screen in Ninja? I've been trying to figure this out. Oh, this? It's just the accounts tab. You have the orders tab, the execution, the strategy, positions, accounts. So you could, I guess, right click. Yeah, this is just the main page and you just have orders, execution, strategy, and then you could like duplicate these, duplicate a new tab, duplicate a new window, move to a new window. So this is just like the default page really. And yeah, you shouldn't do crack when you're pregnant. I've heard that. I've also heard that as a tip. I've also heard that. All right, so if we can hit 20, 25, what was it, 28, 29? If we can take out 28, 29, I'm going to be moving my stop up again. If we can hit 28, I'll move my stop up to the recent low because why not? Honestly, I should probably do it already. Maybe I move it up to 70. I got out this other one at 75. That would actually at least guarantee I'm green on the day. Is open a good investment? Not in my opinion. Right now, the entire internet that I see, at least on FinTwit, is like obsessed with open. And every time I read something from any of them, they see dumber than the next one. I'm not seeing one person with a room temperature IQ say anything positive about open. The entire push is being led by a guy who like blew out his own hedge fund and lost a lot of people a lot of fucking money, and all of a sudden people are now just like following him because it's an orchestrated pump and dump. It is no different than GNS. It is no different than that Qubits one or whatever the fuck that was, the QNT. I don't know, the other one that the GNS community was all about. It's no different than they're just orchestrated pump and dumps. You see them all the time. It's nothing new. It's nothing new under the sun. All right, 607 was the 1 standard deviation high. Interesting. So the thing about the trailing drawdown is you really can't let these breathe that much because you're running into your own delta. Cracker Barrel was a pump and dump. It was actually a dump and pump. It wasn't a pump and dump. It was a dump and then pump. And apparently just the entire internet bullied them into redoing their logo, reverting it. I'm 3 days in my first PA. PL is 1650K. Is the goal 700 a day too safe, or should I let my contracts run further? I think that's a good goal. I even like the concept of something like 300 a day, because that means you get to like a nice payout period, just 10 days, 2 weeks, 300 a day, 10 days, you're at 3K, your first buffer's at 2.5. So you have a little bit of leeway. Like, I wouldn't consider 500 to 700 too safe on a 50K account. Not by any means. Not by any means. But how is AMC? Also dog shit. But that one is a little bit more of the management is going to go down as like one of the worst management teams in like corporate America, like ever. If open is a pump and dump, what signs do you look for the pump is done and the dump is starting? We've already talked about this a lot. We've talked about volume exhaustion, breaking the previous day's close, the first red day, breaking the previous day's close, volume exhaustion. Those all together are pretty like telltale sign of the pump is over and get ready for a potential dump. That's like a very common thing. Of course, like you're going to be able to find counter examples, but generally in the world of shitty penny stock pump and dumps, that's like the telltale sign. The issue with it is actually being able to play it, because remember, to play the downside, you need to find shares to short, and sometimes those pump and dumps are so obvious that all the shares are already out on loan. They're not short yet, but they're already out on loan, so it's considered to be HTB, hard to borrow, and that's when you see the cost to borrow fees like really skyrocket, really skyrocket. It's already started. The dumps already started on open. Maybe. Yep. Looks like it. First red day, telltale sign. First close below a previous close could be today. And then the final thing is volume. Volume is dropping. This is shaping up to be, very toppy. Very toppy. So we'll call this out for posterity's sake. Obviously, I kind of care where this is at 4 p.m. Like I said, first red day, that's your like fire, like your kind of like warning shot. Closing below a previous low, that's where things are getting serious. And that's when it's getting really serious, like terminal, if you see the volume dying. So it's kind of like we saw before. Red day, closed below the low, volume exhaustion went from 255 down to 170 at its lowest. It got a rebirth. That is totally possible. So for example, how did you know to not really get in this one? Well, there wasn't really that much volume exhaustion. Yeah, red day, yeah, closed below the low. And like, yeah, maybe took a shot at it. Obviously, your risk is the recent high. But right here, it just wasn't much. Now, on the flip side, you see this big volume spike and now a big volume dump. Like the volume is really getting crushed, kind of similar to what we saw here. You want it to be dramatic. And even this, I kind of wish the volume on Monday was a bit higher just so it was more evident. But yeah, like you are literally witnessing in real time the not guaranteed, I want to be clear on that, but a very high odds indication that this is getting ready for the dump. People are losing interest. The price is going down. The people who chased it and bought high are now obviously underwater. And like I said, if you look at who's talking about it, it's almost like a competition for who can be more fucking retarded. Like the people talking about this are some of the dumbest shit ever. The one guy, the main guy, all these fucking losers. Yeah, the main guy, Eric Jackson. This guy is like a failed hedge fund. The Carvana hedge fund guy, all he does is try to find the next Carvana over and over again. Founder, EMJ. If you look at the history of EMJ Capital, you realize that they lost a lot of money. It's a horrible hedge fund. Like, it's out there. And he just keeps talking about it, and it's just a fucking pump and dump. He's such a fucking loser that he's trying to get Drake, like he's standing outside of Drake's house with I'm sure it's tweeted here somewhere, with like a sign to buy open. That's it. Like his entire strategy is to try to get Drake to talk about this ticker. Like right here, day one, buy open. Day one of standing outside of Drake's house until he buys at least one share of open. He said he started from the bottom. Well, so did we. Let's ride. Like, you're telling me this is your investment thesis? Like a fucking retard?
Hey, this is Eric Jackson, in front of Drake's house, day one. We're gonna keep coming back until Drake buys one share.
They're now at day 7.
Day 7, Eric back here in a rainstorm in front of Drake's house. I just wanted to show that Kendrick sucks, and I'm gonna be doing an open door TikTok at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time today with a guy named Growth Department. You can find out more on my X page. My son's not with me today, being the cameraman, so I'm doing it solo. And we're surviving the rainstorm out here. It's not much happening. Drake's house, they're doing, I don't know, guys are going in, doing renos. Maybe he's coming back. He just finished Copenhagen last night. He's got a few days off before resuming the tour.
Seems like a really strong investment thesis. Feels like this guy, who also is like, he already failed a hedge fund. He already blew up a hedge fund. So people, they're going to get like, it breaks my heart, but at a certain point you kind of get what you deserve. Like this guy's like actually fucking retarded. And I don't know why so many people are thinking that it's because they want it. They want another GameStop. They want another AMC. They want a pump and dump to financially change their life. So like, I understand and I can resonate with that like inherently people are so susceptible to it because they are falling on times of financial hardship, and maybe they're a little greedy. Maybe it's somewhere in between, but it's going to end poorly. It's going, like, folks, over the past, 5 years, this has been my job, day in and day out, watching shit like this play out. And at a certain point, you just start to notice a pretty obvious pattern, a very, very obvious pattern. And this one is no different. No different. So like, not only are we putting together the stats of the volume exhaustion, the first red day, the first day closing below the previous low, like all that shit, but then you just look at like who is orchestrating this. This guy is as fucking dumb as they come. Like this guy is just a fucking loser dipshit. And it's no surprise that if you see the people who are talking about it, like they don't have a functioning brainstem, folks. We're right here. I mean, you could just just scroll through the commentary, and it's just dumber than the next. Dumber and dumber and dumber. Where's the one guy? I picked up some open. Okay, you're fucking dumb. It's just all this like hype bullshit. I'm surprised the rundown even lit him on. Just pay down the insane debt. Don't need stimmy checks if people are already yelling open and Bitcoin. Like this is so stupid. Clowns juggle, I compound. Oh, look, a clown. This guy, he's going to blow out another fund. Who keeps giving this guy money? Why is he being invited on any of this shit? Oh, also, to clarify, he won't share how much he owns. So he could literally be owning like one share. He's like, I can't share that. I can't.
Stock up 575% since June 1st. Since July 1st, excuse me. Have you sold any?
No.
When will you sell?
I don't think it's 82 yet, Tim. I mean,
right.
if they put some effort into this could be a $500 stock.
Oh wow, $500. Okay, the all-time high was back on February 12th, 2021, 34.59.
What was that alert? Hang on, alert. Apple. We just got an alert on Apple. Apple breaking out, I think. Apple. Official breakout alert on Apple. Higher low. That's not a bad play, team. It's not a bad play there, team. Apple. You have rising volume, a higher low, a technical breakout, 1-to-1 risk to reward. But then if it breaks and follows through, you could be talking about 242. You could be talking about 250. All right, let's do a deeper breakdown on Apple. There might be something there. There might be some cider to squeeze out of that one. See what I did there? You guys see what I did there? You guys see what I did there? All right, Apple currently trading at 231, 235 big resistance, 240 big resistance. So yeah, it's 235. It's a 1-to-1 thing. Yeah, 235, 240. 240 would be your reach. Maybe this structure changes, but it's about a 1-to-1. It's a 1-to-1 risk to reward, but you probably have a higher odds than a 50-50. So I like it. It's not my favorite bet ever. Like, I don't think it's amazing. I think the technicals are nice. I think the options market on it could look a little bit better. Like, I wish maybe the low vol point was at 250 or something. So it really is. Yeah, 240. Yeah, people like there's bulls swinging on that play. They're just not swinging that hard. But it is getting some volume. So like I said, it's about a 1-to-1 risk reward, but your odds of success are probably slightly higher than 50. So technically from the point of expected value, it is a good bet. Yeah, I see what's going on there. Hey, Bitcoin's waking up a little bit. Dude, I need Bitcoin to wake up a lot a bit, or I'm going to be a very fucking poor person. Oh, I need Bitcoin. Nvidia, I won't even worry about it today until we earnings. Tesla, we're looking for that follow through. Would love for it to hit 357.54. We're right at that key open interest level of 55. Palantir, just chilling. I'm actually just waiting for Palantir to like wake back up. I wouldn't mind trying to play it back up to the all-time high. Avago, similar situation, sold off flat, waiting for that breakout. Apple's already breaking out. Netflix looking for this higher low, looking for the follow through. I have the alert set, looking to play that. Meta, similar situation, popped, came back, looking at the higher low, just waiting for it to start to break. Microsoft, similar situation. MicroStrategy actually looking pretty weak. Coin looking weak. Hood flat. BITX, I don't want to talk about it. Qualcomm, I don't even know why I look at Qualcomm. Ripple's back at $3. Solana's actually looking pretty good. Texas Roadhouse, that's crime. Bonds down, yields up. Oil is doing nothing. Gold, a little bit of a pop. Vol is getting crushed. ETH, not far from the all-time high. BMNR, this is another one. This is it. Out of all these things that I've accused of being a pump and dump, BMNR is probably the least in that realm. I still think it's in that realm, but if you don't know what BMNR is, they're basically trying to be the Michael Saylor MicroStrategy of Bitcoin, but in the world of Ethereum. So instead of a Bitcoin treasury, they want an ETH treasury. But for some reason, it is not really correlated with the movement of ETH right now. So I'm not a fan of it, but it does show clear pump and dump characteristics. Clear pump and dump characteristics. All right. We are just chilling. We are chilling at the key open interest level. We are chilling right above that, but also right below the Jerome Powell speech high, which is also just below the all-time high. So we are chilling pretty much at highs. I'm still in my position. The runner is up 1,700. I currently have a locked-in loss of 850, but my net situation is up about $1,000. And I've been in this one for quite a minute. All right, I'm moving my stop up again just because I don't need a random puke to like fuck up my day. If this gets hit, I will be net green on the day. Obviously, I hope my profit target gets hit before. I didn't want to move my stop up this aggressively until we take out 28, but I'm just, you never know. You never know. I mean, this is making me feel good, but you never know. It could just get smashed for whatever reason. So you just, sometimes it's going to be what it's going to be. Sometimes you have to, Nvidia's making a move back to its intraday high. I don't know. When it comes to NQ, you just don't know if it wants to hold that 600 mark. It's at 606 right now. So the longer we stay above it, the better I'm going to feel. I would love a push to 30 because that is the post-market high. Nice technical level there. But if I were trading my own funded account, I would leave my stop all the way down at break even, and I would put my profit target at 50. But because I'm using SIMDA funded and the ones that I'm using do have I suppose a trailing drawdown rule, I kind of have to be a bit more aggressive with my trailing stop. So just to clarify the difference of how I would handle the two. Does the payout on Apex have to be the size of your P&L? Is there a standard amount per account? And sorry for the last question. After your payout, do they reset your account balance? No. There's a minimum and a maximum you're allowed to do per payout period for the first 6. So if you're on a 50K account, you have to request out at least 500, but you could go up to any dollar amount up to 2,000. And then after 6 payouts, you can take out as much money as you want. They don't reset it. They don't reset your account after a payout. They remove whatever you get paid out from your current account balance. Hey, Matt, what is your analysis on Bros? Been watching it run up week and debating what my exit is. So, okay, you're already long on it. You're long on Bros. Technical breakout. I mean, 74 is a clear, well, yeah, you're at the technical level right now. So you've been in it. I don't know when you got into it, but the fact that we're now at resistance, you probably at minimum should set your stop to break even. At least that's how I would handle it, but it does have these higher lows, so you're getting that nice follow through. It feels like unloading maybe a portion of your position at 74, 75 is like reasonable because it is resistance, and then from there you're talking somewhere between 77 and 79 And then obviously you have this high. So like for me, once again, I don't know your entry. I don't know if it's via stock. I don't know if it's via options. If it is options, I don't know your time till expiration. But from just a structural standpoint, you're at resistance, and at resistance, you either break or you don't.
Stop filled.
Oh, I just got stopped out. So I'm up 571 per account. So that was a nice recovery. I mean, I was down how much? 2K. So down 2, and then what just happened there? What happened there? Just a little bit of a pullback. Yep. And with it, this could pull back and be a higher low. And then you could say, well, why didn't you just stay in? Okay, that's true. Also, it could just dump. That's also an option. So I'd rather, that's one of the beautiful things about trading futures is there's no pattern day trading, especially when you're trading on a sim account, obviously. You can trade as much as you want. So if you want to be super, super protective and just like, nope, I'm going to ride the trend as long as I think the trend's there, you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do it. Matt, I'm a young teen who loves day trading and finance. You shout out channels out a young teen. Are you allowed to trade as a young teen? Isn't there like a minimum age to trade? I thought like you had to be like 18 or something. Are you fucking with me? Oh, knowing my luck, that was just it might have just barely hit it. And hey, that happens. I could always re-enter and then position off this low if need be. Or maybe it does puke. I don't know. Was the report bullish? What report? Matt, the trading please. Oh, I don't give a fuck. It was more of a question of like, I thought it was more of like, I was trying to learn something. I don't give a fuck what people do with their life. I don't give a shit. If they want to do it, they want to do it. That's on them. 90 NQ. Bullish, 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 bullish. It really feels like we could keep going up there. Is this just going to be that? Boop, boop. A little bit of a hit. Mag 7. It's our fuck. It's going to push me back in, isn't it? What's the flow look like? NASDAQ. SPY. Well, the SPY got someone locked in profits. The 0 DTE calls dumped right there. That's why we had a little bit of a sell-off. Someone locked in 0 DTE calls. Someone locked in a couple two tree calls there. And I'm just wondering at what would I need to see to re-enter? Someone dumped on the Mag 7 there at 1036. The SPY, someone dumped it at 1045. Is this just going to quickly bounce right back? Or do I want to be done today? That's the question. My question right now is, do I want to take one more trade or do I want to be done? That is the old predicament. The old predicament. Do I want one more trade or do I want to be done? Oh, by the way, if you want Bookmap, remember, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video, just so you know, a lot of people are currently trying to sell at 625. We are at the point of control at key level, but also psychological level 600. And there are some buyers down here at 90. 90, 90, 90, 90. There are some buyers at 90. And then obviously with Apex, don't forget to use that code Goonie. I just want to let you know it does end today. You have 15 hours left. So if you're thinking about getting accounts, I don't know what the next deal is going to be. They don't tell people. So if it goes down to 71, obviously this would be a cheaper deal for y'all. Bullish, 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 bullish. Bullish, 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 bullish. Picking up on SPX. You could look for this trend line break right there. And your risk would obviously be this recent low, and you'd probably be targeting the all-time high. What happens if I look at this? All right, so we still have these higher highs. Technically, we kind of have these equal lows. It did flush it a little bit harder, found support right at this 50 EMA. I am looking to see if we can put in another higher low, though, here. Is this... I'm looking... Can we put in another higher low?
Order submitted.
Okay, I'm just setting up the order to have the risk and the reward I want. We're going to find out. We're going to find out real quick what in the world is going on. The SPY is clearly above its high and its low from yesterday, or its high and its close from yesterday. The Qs, that is also a true statement, but we did just get a little bit of a wick down, but still above the high and the low. The SPY is at a key open interest level, trying to break out as we speak. We have the Jerome Powell high at 79, and then we have the all-time high at 81. Those are very, very important levels. I should also call out, though, that this might be a little bit of a shoulder, head, shoulder. Personally, I wouldn't play it just because we're like the trend, like you're going against the evident trend. So I don't like it, but I just want to call that out. But in the end, especially if you look at something like the 3-minute, this might end up just being another higher high and higher low. So that's actually potentially a good risk point if we get the follow through and break the current intraday high. Pretty much a similar setup here on NQ. On the 1-minute, yeah, technically you could argue that this flush here took out these lows, but as soon as you go to the 3-minute, it looks like it just might be the first higher low on the day, and you kind of want that confirmation of it going above 610 or maybe even 616, something like that. So remember, when you're day trading, when you're scalp trading, it's a game of 50-50. I get it. When you scroll on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, there's all these people trying to sell you bullshit of some sort of magical thing that's always right, never wrong, and I will be the bearer of bad news to let you know that doesn't exist. Good systems exist, but in good systems, you still take losses. There is no such thing as some person who's just always making money on every single trade. It simply does not exist. The best traders are good at taking losers. If you're taking outsized losers, when I say outsized, like too big for your account, obviously too often, you're going to blow out. That's the recipe for blowing out. And then just understand, you can make good decisions and lose money. You can make bad decisions and make money. You should never be judging the quality of the trade-off. Did it make or lose money? I see that all the time, especially on Twitter, of like, fuck you, I made money on this. I know what I'm doing. It's like, no, you don't. It's normally distributed. Especially as an active trader. Like, yeah, today's a bullish day, and guess what? We still dumped 50 points this morning. Yeah, a bear could have made money, and I would still argue they were wrong on the day, even though they made money early on. Like, it's how it goes. Your honesty is refreshing. Jody, you as a human being are so kind, and I find that to be refreshing. I find you to be refreshing. Everything it's bullish. The trend's bullish. If you don't think the trend's currently bullish, you're fucking blind. If you don't think the trend is bullish, yeah, we're about to kiss it like you would with your cousin in Alabama. Just about to give him a little bit of a smooch because the old Razorbacks won. You know how everyone gets a little bit like jacked up and a little bit too excited when the Gamecocks score and you quickly give your cousin a smooch on the lips? That's what's about to happen here in the stock market. That's what's about to happen here in the stock market. Dude, the Russell's looking good. Fucking Bitcoin. Nvidia's looking good. Tesla, let's push that again. Palantir, Avago, Apple, Netflix, Microsoft. All right, what's the most active today? People are trading SPX, Tesla, Nvidia, SPY, and Qs. Those are the top 5. So the two in equities are obviously Tesla and Nvidia, getting quite a bit of action today. A lot of people playing 80. A lot of the open interest. A lot of the open interest. Well, folks. Matt, do you have a sister? Yeah, I have a sister. And a brother-in-law. And a nephew. And no, none of them look up to me. None of them respect me. Commonly, when I go home for holidays, they just beat me up and shove me in a locker, which is really confusing because we don't even have a locker in my house. Like, we literally have to go through the effort of driving to the high school, and then they put me in a locker. Uncle Matt, dude. Yeah. I make him call me Mr. Coors. I'm not, I get that he's my own blood and everything, but I don't know. I don't think that's really an excuse to not be like respectful and professional. So it's Mr. Coors to him. Matt, did I cry at her wedding? I guess. I think. I don't know. I don't really remember. I would assume, I just cry most days, so like I don't think that one would have been like statistically significant. I wake up, I realize I'm a fucking loser, and I just start crying. My point is that I probably did, but I'm not necessarily sure it had anything to do with the wedding, Those H-Dale lockers were tiny. They were. All right. Well, I'm still in a position. I'm break even right now. This is my fourth trade of the day. The first trade was a good trade, didn't make money. The second trade was a bad trade, didn't make money. Third trade was a good trade, made a lot of money, locked in net 500 after losing 2,000. So this third trade was a 2.5K trade. That's why I'm up net 500. And then I'm live with one final trade right now. That's roughly break even. I'm using this recent low as my risk. I'm using a 1-to-1 risk to reward kind of. Actually, do I 25 and 30? 30 feels pretty fucking important. Yeah, 29 and then 50. Yeah. So that's my risk. That's my reward. That's my reward. Maybe it hits. Maybe it doesn't. I have no fucking clue. Okay. That's it for right now. Expect the lunch period to be a little bit quiet. Nothing too crazy going on. And in all reality, remember, whether we are breaking out and ripping today, whether we are breaking down and crashing today, it kind of doesn't matter, because what matters comes after the market closes, when we get NVIDIA's number, I believe 20 minutes after market close. You might want to check me on that one, but I think it's 4:20 p.m. Eastern is when we're going to get the numbers from NVIDIA. So yeah, pay attention to that. If it beats on top and bottom and has great guidance, look for us to rip and open up at new all-time highs. If it misses or has bad guidance, well, look for things to quickly tumble. So it's where this goes. What we do today, it matters, especially if you're a 0DT trade. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but I think you get my point when I'm saying there's a lot more going on, and it's just a binary event. No one in this world has some sort of predictive model that can accurately tell you if we're going to beat or not. In fact, it's going to be 50-50. It's a binary event. You're flipping a coin, and that's a gamble. And hey, I'm not against gambling. Like, if that's how maybe you get lucky. Maybe you're on the right side of the coin flip and you make a shitload of money. And remember, with 50-50 setups, you can still be net profitable. I'm so sick and tired of people thinking that you need to be right 80, 90, 95% of the time. No, you could be net profitable and be only right 10% of the time, because remember, that's the equation of expected value. How often are you right multiplied by your average win size, and then you take away how often you're like the percentage of time you're wrong multiplied by your average loss size. A lot of people in the influencing space are just focused on how often you are right. You can be right 99% of the time and still lose money. If every single time you're right, you win $1, but when you're wrong, you lose 1,000. So you're right $99 and then you lose 1,000. So congrats, you lost $900. So remember, it is good to know accuracy, but it's not the full aspect of what you need to know for your expected value equation. You need to know the percentage of time of right and wrong, and average win size and average loss size, and then you can find out if you have positive expected value. So It is good to know, but just knowing how often you're right doesn't necessarily mean you're profitable. In fact, I know there are people right now, specifically in the sim funded space, actually some like quote unquote influencers, who their strategies and what they sell, it's a high hit rate, but I've seen it. Like they've showed it to me that it's a net loser, but it doesn't matter because so many people are obsessed with being right a lot that they don't care about being right in the net. They just want to be like hit. And then like whatever, they always come up with an excuse when they suffer that one big loser. Like literally there are models and strategies being sold worth allegedly a lot of money. And then when you look at it, like by their own admission, they are not net profitable. And that's how people choose to run their business, which is always pretty fucking crazy if you ask me. But it is what it is. All right. So basically, be careful for the rest of the day. Please, 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 please respect your risk. Obviously, I'm planning on this being my last trade of the day. I hope to not get tilted and whatnot. So hopefully this is my last trade right here. Depending on how it does or doesn't go, I'll tweet it out. I want to be transparent with you guys. I might make money. I might lose money. I'm hoping that my loss is not more 400. How much would I lose? 20 points. 400, 800. So I'd be down net 300. So if I don't fuck up, my worst case scenario today should be a loss of 300. As long as I like don't get really tilted and do dumb shit, that should be the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is obviously profit target. So that's 600. That's another 1,000. So 1,600. So that would bring me to 2.1K. So best case scenario is I'm up 2.1 thousand. Worst case scenario is I'm down 300 with respect to how this particular trade plays out. So maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll tell you better when one of these things is actually hit. That's what I have for you right now. Don't forget, if you want Bookmap, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. If you want Goonie, the deal, or excuse me, an Apex account, the deal's ending today, 80% off. You have 15 hours left. Don't forget to use that code Goonie in the coupon section when you are checking out. We're going to be posting some content later on today and then streaming again, once again, tomorrow morning. Remember, the big thing of the day is actually not during the trading session. It is NVIDIA's report after the market closes. As of right now, the expected move is 5.5%, which is about $250 billion. But more important than that, it's going to be the general sentiment of are we gapping up and pushing new all-time highs and going, or basically it's the barometer for this whole AI bubble thematic squeeze play. If the numbers are bad, is the bubble about to pop? It's going to be a big move. I cannot tell you which way we're going to go. I wish I could. If I could, I'd be making millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. But all I can tell you is you got to pay attention tonight. Tomorrow morning, we have GDP. And then more importantly than all of that is the PCE inflation report before the market opens on Friday. And then next Friday, we have the unemployment report. So basically from market close today until next Friday, you're not really going to sleep. But you might get one extra day off because the market is closed on Monday, this upcoming Monday in observation of Labor Day, just so everyone knows. But that's what I have for you. I appreciate all the good vibes. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.